Welcome to the Practice You podcast. My name is Elena Brower. Together, we'll explore and enjoy content and conversations around mastering transitions in our relations, our wellness, our careers, our families, and especially in our missions and visions. You are invited to learn and love and listen with me. Welcome to Practice You. Welcome back to the podcast. I have with me a new friend, a very prolific creator, Gunny Sodhi. He is the founder of Youveda. His story is very touching. He started his brand fairly recently. How recently did you start this brand?
Yeah, hi Elena. We started it in April of 2018.
April of 2018, so it's fairly recent, but the roots of your company, as you say, can be traced back far to one day in 2006, changed your life. You were a junior in college, and you received a phone call telling you that your 16-year-old brother, Rishi, had just died in a car accident. The power of such a loss catalyzed a very real shift in your life. And I would love to start at this point. Tell us, my listener and me, about how this changed things for you and what exactly you feel it catalyzed within you.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, thank you so much for having me on. And I'm very honored and cannot wait to
Mhm.
share this with the community. I hope it helps them if somebody's stuck in the situation that I was. So yeah, in 2006, I was in my early 20s. My brother was in his teens, and what else are we doing at that age? I mean, we're thinking about what's gonna happen on the weekend, whose party are we going to, all that stuff. That was when I guess I was in this mode of you're invincible. I haven't really, fortunately, had to deal with any of the traumatic, extremely traumatic experiences that I was going to be dealing with in the next few minutes. So I get a call from my brother. My brother was, he was eating out, and I was like, hey, it's Friday, or today's Thursday. It's Friday's coming up. What are we planning to do? And he was just telling me, hey, I'll stay the night at your place, and we'll hang out and do this, and we'll go out with the friends and stuff. And it's like, okay, sure, come on over. That was at 2:21 p.m. I remember it very, I mean, just feels like yesterday, but it's been many years. So at 2:34, not too much long, I get a call from his best friend, and his best friend, Elena, is just panting. He cannot talk straight. And I tell him, I was like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And he goes,
Oh,
Rishi's been
gosh.
in an accident. Rishi's been in an accident. And I'm at work at this point. And as soon as I hear that, the body's fight or flight mechanism goes off. And for people that have had news like that, or have been in a situation, or just dealing with it right now, or in a state of grief or high anxiety, you know that your body does not know what to do. It feels like it's a real threat, but it's not. You're not like it's not like you're being chased by a lion or something. It's the emotional
Mm-hmm.
adrenaline that comes in, and I started shaking. I couldn't walk
Mm.
straight, and all I could hear from him is he's here. His car's been in an accident, and I keep on asking him, "Is he okay? Is he okay?" And he doesn't answer me. He goes, "I don't know." And I hung up from him, and I called my brother's phone, and it goes straight to voicemail. I call again, it goes straight to voicemail. And at this point, you get this really sinking feeling in your heart. It's almost like your intuition is talking to you, saying that it doesn't look good. And I had one of my coworkers who saw me, and it's like a family-run business there. She's like, "There's no way you're driving by yourself to this place. I'm gonna go with you." On the way over, Elena, they had actually on the radio announced that this accident involved two fatalities, and I don't know what in me. It's just I started hyperventilating. I started crying, and I said, "It's him. I know it's him. I just know it's him." And my coworker, her name was Kimmy. She's like, "Don't say that. You don't know it. You're not there yet." I'm like, Kimmy, I know it. I don't think he made it. He's gone." So when we arrive on the scene, firefighters are there, ambulance is there, the 4 cars are involved, and I see my brother's car, and the hood of his car has just been smashed in, and it's clearly has been on fire. I mean, not the whole car, the front part of the car, and enough for the driver passenger side. And I get out of Kimmy's car and run over to the firefighter, and they kind of they don't really grab me, but they tell me, hey, hold on, who are you? Who are you? And I say, I'm his brother. I'm his brother. That was my brother that was in the car. And right away, I could see the look in his eyes, Elena. It was almost like he's like, it almost reminded me that he did not know how to share the news. And he basically said, hey, nobody's in there. They're all at the hospital. Please go to the hospital. Hopeful, we go to the hospital and we get there, and I see my mom is there, my dad is there, my uncles are there, and my mom is in a room just panicking. Like literally, they had to give her diazepam because she couldn't calm down. She was in extreme fight or flight, and just she couldn't, you couldn't comprehend. I mean, I honestly thought that at that moment, I really thought I had lost, my not only my brother but my mom. I thought she was just not going to return to a normal state the way she was just panicking. I saw my dad. I mean, he was just completely out of it. And at that point, Elena, I mean, my life had changed completely. When we went home, the whole community was there around us. And in that moment, I was facing something that none of us really are programmed to face. Usually, it is our grandparents that pass, then our parents, then us, then our younger siblings. Except this time, it was turned around completely. How does the youngest person in the family pass before even my grandma's still around? How does that make sense? And that is something that my subconscious, my emotions were not ready to deal with. They didn't know what to do. And 6 months later, when I actually wanted to move on, when I actually was like, okay, I want to get back into life. My brother wanted me to. I had deep, deep, deep depression, constant anxiety, suicidal thoughts, constant panic attacks because during that whole process, when I should have been grieving and I should have been feeling the emotions, I was given the advice to be strong. And it wasn't the wrong advice. People just didn't know what that meant, neither did I. See, I have a clear picture of being strong to me now means you feel your emotions. There's strength in feeling those horrible, sometimes really uncomfortable emotions, but that's what they're for. They move through, they don't stick around if you let them feel. But back then, I resisted, I suppressed. That suppression, suppression energy, eventually ended up being the emotional outbreak of deep depression, like I said, anxiety, panic attacks. And right then and there, I my life had been flipped upside down. I'd wake up in pain. I'd wake up feeling constant, just not wanting to do anything. I dropped out of school. And finally, one day, I got to the point where I just had enough of it. And please make note of this. This is important also for the listeners. I got to the point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I knew that other people had gotten through what I had. I knew other people had done it, and I knew that this was not the rest of the life I wanted to live. But it was that lowest point in my life, I was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I went to my dad and I said, because my dad is an Ayurvedic and naturopathic practitioner. And of course, I wanted to reach out to him because I think he could help me. I went and reached out, and this is something so interesting my dad said that I'll never forget it. My dad said that, look, I had seen you doing this. I wanted to reach out to you, but if I had reached out to you, you perhaps would not have been ready or taken my advice. It's different coming from you because when you say it, I know you want to change. And right then,
Guni, is it true that he was the first naturopathic and Ayurvedic practitioner in the United States of America, your father?
this is correct. Yes.
Dr. Virender Sodhi. That's his
Dr.
name,
Varinder
yes?
Sodhi, yes, he practices and still practices in Seattle, Washington. Correct.
It's so impressive. Like, that is so impressive. I've had so many different people on this podcast speaking about the impact of that Ayurveda has had on them, the understanding of this entire life science. And he's the first one. Your father is the first one. And for the parents out there, he didn't come to you and say, this is what you should do. He waited for you to come to him.
Right.
Such a big
Yeah.
deal. Go on.
Yeah, and thank you for asking that. I mean, it's so what also makes him unique is he's not only an Ayurvedic practitioner, but he realized that he had to get naturopathy, his ND, because to be certified and licensed, that's how he'd have to practice. So that's kind of
Of
what he did.
course.
But yeah, I believe his intuition really helped with me going to him. He said, "Hey, look, okay, what you're going through is PTSD. This is what happened. You didn't you when you were grieving, you really didn't grieve. You were being strong." And he goes, "I understand you were being strong for us and the family." But he goes, "That's not how you honor this process. That's not how the body mind is designed. And but here's what we can do." He goes, "You have two choices, okay? And I'm going to give them to you." He goes, "We can either do this naturally and I can teach you how to do it, or we can put you on prescription medications." And he goes, "I'll be honest with you, I've probably seen over 500,000 people in my life, my patients, and I've personally prescribed 5 of those people on prescription medications, and 3 of the 5," he goes, "kind of needed it, and 2 of those kind of almost said that, 'Yes, I do want it.'" He goes, "I don't want my son to be the 6th one because I know you can get better. If the same body can put you in this state, body mind, the same body mind can take you out of this."
Quick
Yes.
caveat. If my listener is listening to this and you are currently on prescription meds and you are getting results from your prescription meds, please continue to listen with an open mind, because we are not saying that you are wrong to be on prescription meds. By no means. I know so many people who are on it so successfully. All we're saying is to toy around with the idea that maybe introducing some of the concepts that we're about to describe, some of the not just concepts, but products and mindsets that we're about to describe into your equation may help you perhaps to taper off, maybe. So we're not saying you're wrong here. I just want to make sure that that's clear.
No, absolutely, and thank you for clarifying. Yeah, and even for me, I have nothing against prescription medications as well. It's just at that time, the for me personally, the side effects seemed scary for somebody that's already in that state, and that's why I chose to go down the natural route. But if you're getting results from those, please, feel free to go ahead and do that. But there are certain things that you can also do naturally. But if it works, great, no problem.
hmm Either way. But what fascinates me the most in learning about Ayurveda, and I've been learning about this for almost 20 years, I would say, the number of people who have real, tangible, palpable results from just employing a few of these concepts, practices, rituals, even supplements into their lives have had significant changes, I myself included. This gave birth to a period of about 45 days you had mentioned, when over the course of time with your father's guidance, and I would love to hear, as specifically as you can be, as specifically as you can describe what you did. You watched your body sort of recalibrate, your depression lifted. You were attending an event and you suddenly realized, you said that you actually felt fine for the first time in a very long time. Talk to me about what were the practices that led you to that moment?
Absolutely. So when I was there with my dad, after we kind of had the conversation, what he told me was that we're going to have to first start from your mind. In Ayurveda, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the body follows. It all starts with the mind. He goes, "I want to teach you how to truly feel your emotions, how to truly understand what is going on in your mind, and how to make sure that those emotions don't affect you negatively again, how to have those emotions flow from you." So I began to kind of practice almost mindfulness and a meditation where I wasn't resisting the emotions, but moreover feeling them. And in that feeling them, they would come, but then they would go. They would come and go. I'm not saying it happened right away or in the first sitting, but now all of a sudden I had this subconscious breakthrough. I had this awareness that, wow, I don't have to be burdened by these emotions. But yet, if I practice a different type of relationship with them, they don't have to burden me either. We also got to the diet.
Right.
I went to a very different diet. I wasn't really careful with my diet. I was eating everything and anything that I could find. Believe it or not, I mean, it's being in a Ayurvedic household. I guess I really wasn't following as much of a diet. I got more strict on my diet with the timing of my diet. More in season fruits and vegetables. I still did a little bit of meat back in the day, but I really cut back and did more veggies, more soup, lighter in the evenings, heavier in the day to be in coordination with my Agni digestive fire. And then, most importantly, I incorporated
Hold on,
meditation.
let me just tell my listener one thing.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
Agni is spelled Agni, and Agni refers to your body's capacity to digest food, which is highest early to middle of the day. If you eat a lot at night, what you'll find over time chronically is that you'll gain weight, you'll be more sluggish, you'll have less energy, and your body doesn't really have a chance to digest the food before you go to sleep. When you sleep, my understanding is that is a full on healing event. And if you've got a belly full of food and you try and fall asleep, your body actually can't do the healing that it's meant to do during sleeping hours. Instead, it's just busy digesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And not only that, Elena, it also forms ama. Ama is the toxins in Ayurveda. An excess of ama is going to have you have those, the sluggishness, the buildup of mucus. So, and it makes sense too with the timing of the day. If you think about the sun, when is the sun the highest? The sun is the highest between noon and 2, and that is when your digestive fire, working alongside with the energy of the sun, it really begins to have put you in a favorable position to digest your heaviest meal. So I found out that. I found out about how to properly do meditation, yoga practices, all of the other things that really helped. And like I said, it wasn't an overnight transformation. It took about 30 to 45 days. And for the first 2 weeks, I really didn't even feel too much. But then what happened was I found this almost this energy or this healing, this from inside, the intuition that kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until, like you said earlier, I was at an event one day and I'm like, oh my gosh, when you've been through that, it is the greatest thing ever just to feel normal. And that's when I realized I was like, wow, Ayurveda and what I've just learned and what I've been through, this is amazing. The same body that put me in this got me out of it, but now I know what is different. I know that when this stuff comes up again, I know how to grieve. I know how to the relationship I need to have with my emotions, and that seriously helped so much to get me through this.
And at this point, you've incorporated new diet. Is your dad, does he have you on supplements?
Yes, and we are also taking, thank you so much. I was going to mention that as well, is that we started also taking a very powerful Ayurvedic adaptogen in the form of ashwagandha. Ashwagandha works with your cortisol levels. And basically, an adaptogen is something that helps you adapt to stress. In this case, it's a herb, an Ayurvedic herb. So basically, when it works with your cortisol, is if your cortisol is too high, it helps bring it back down to a normal level. If it's too low, it again brings it back down to a normal level. And that is the whole point of adaptogens. They help your body adapt to stress.
You know what's wild?
Yes, please.
My doctor has had me on ashwagandha for 4 or 5 years now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And what's interesting is a lot of people think that, okay, ashwagandha is much more of a, herb that it favors one sex over the other. I mean, I haven't seen that in my experience, although Sitavari is sometimes considered the female version of ashwagandha, but adaptogenic herbs are so powerful and I think they can be traced. This was the herb that got my stress levels back, my adrenals back. It's really good for helping with adrenal fatigue as well.
Great. Now, at a certain point, we met because I think one of your folks had reached out to me to say that you were sort of on the podcast circuit, that you had this incredible bunch of products. And I get these inquiries fairly often. And I don't actually respond because I really like to interview just people that I know well and my friends. But for some reason, I had this idea that I wanted to know you, and I set up a call with you. I then bought a month supply of your mood supplements, okay, which I'm going to have you describe. I asked my doctor, who's got me so sorted out for the last several years. We do regular bloods, everything like really in good stead in my body. And I said, look at the ingredients of this thing. I sent her your website, and my doctor said, yeah, go ahead and give it a try. Why not? So you gifted me kindly 1 month, and I've paid, I think, for two, and I'm going to keep paying because the mood supplements that you provide are incredible.
Oh,
I
thank you.
feel a conscious shift in my state. I take them as my morning vitamins along with some EFA, some essential fatty acids, some magnesium, and some other things for hormone balance, like natural supplements. And then later on, I take my multivitamin that my doctor prescribes for me, and I have felt so good since starting
Mm.
this. So thank you so much.
Oh, no, it's such a pleasure to hear that because, one of the visions and missions of the company is to create a healthier, happier world using the intelligence of Mother Nature. And Ayurveda, is all about that. So it just warms my heart knowing that those are the results that you're getting because that is truly what happened for me. Now, when I was in my state, it wasn't as comprehensive of a blend as you're getting. So it's amazing to hear that. And I'm so happy that this is available to people. But that honestly, it just makes me so happy to hear the results. And that is, with these ingredients, what you should be feeling.
It's funny because I'm actually really, really sensitive to these things, and I've been tinkering with supplements for a number of years, and it's very real what I'm experiencing. Then you went ahead and sent me your mood blend that you make essential oils as well,
Yes.
and I was like, yeah, I know all about essential oils. I've been working with oils for 25 years. But your mood blend is actually great too.
Oh,
And I have to
awesome.
commend you on it. I don't expect to like anybody else's oils, frankly, but this one is really good.
Oh,
Really
thank you.
good.
Thank
Is it
you.
okay if I look up and read the ingredients to the mood blend?
Absolutely.
Is
Absolutely.
that's okay?
Please, please. Yeah. And what I can do is I can describe the mood supplements while you're doing that.
Yes,
So
please, please, please.
what we always do when we design a product at Youveda is we like to honor the Ayurvedic concepts that have been around for 5,000 plus years. Ayurveda is a science of life. Ayurveda. That's that's what it is. That's where the knowledge is derived from, the science of life. That's literally what it means. It's a 5,000-year-old system based out of India. And something that's been around for that long, Elena, I mean, you would imagine that if there's something fishy or goofy going on, there should have been something in there that kind of raised the flags. But it's amazing how the intelligence has been passed down and how the intelligence has remained and the intelligence around Mother Nature. So, what we like to do is we like to have the foundation of the herbs supported and rooted in Ayurveda, Ayurvedic herbs such as ashwagandha, makuna, which is really good for mood support, bacopa, which is great for focus and memory retention. So, which is why this blend works so well, is because not only does it have an adaptogen such as ashwagandha, it has makuna, which really helps kind of increase your dopamine, helps you make you feel good. It has bacopa, which helps you focus and helps your memory because that's all over the place when you're going through this. Then it also has L-theanine, which has been proven to help you calm down. And then my favorite, it has saffron. Saffron is a very mood lifting, aromatic, extremely calming herb as well. And I'm sure if you've ever been around somebody cooking with saffron, it puts you in such a nice mood. And then what we like to do with Youveda is not only honor the Ayurvedic principles, but also combine it with what's the latest in health and wellness. And that is we combine it with a really great food quality multivitamin because we believe that, yes, ancient medicine, ancient herbal supplements are great, but then also don't ignore what's currently happening with the greatest and latest. And that's why we have multivitamins, we have probiotics in our blends, we have enzymes in our blends. We also have other things that further support it. And what these herbs do is they're proprietary. which means that each of them complements each other. That's the intelligence and power of Youveda. It's not just ashwagandha is put in there and all of these things are randomly put in there. No, they're each put in to add value to the other. So ashwagandha being the adaptogen, ashwagandha kind of regulates everything. Okay, hey guys, yeah, I like that you're Bacopa. I like that you're in there to make sure the focus and everything is there and to help people calm down. But then make sure you don't just only focus on that. This person also needs other help. Saffron, I understand that you're in there to help raise the mood, but let's not get this person too raised up. So each of these herbs has an intelligence in themselves and they talk to each other. Then what also makes this blend so unique is the multivitamins that we have in there. It's important because that's the whole point of supplementation. Sometimes we don't get all the nutrition and the nutrients that we need from currently what we're on. And that's kind of what gets us to, need the supplementation. And that's what makes these formulas so unique is we're taking Ayurvedic concepts, but then what we're also doing is that we are also understanding the other things as well, such as a multivitamin that's needed for to complement the overall kit.
Which I just can't say enough about it. Really, I was such a snob about vitamins in general, and this blows my mind. Like truly blows my mind. The essential oil blend has jatamansi, which is spikenard, grown
Yes.
in the hills of the Himalayas in Nepal.
Yes.
Calamus, which I would love for you to explain what that is.
So calamus again is an aromatic. Almost think of it as. Are you familiar with what boswellia is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
frankincense.
yeah, yeah. So it's similar to that, except in this way, it really helps kind of calm the mind and focus on them on things. So whenever think of these combinations of essential oils and the supplement kits as supplements you're taking internally, and the oils you're complementing it topically. And why we do it purposely to apply it to the marma points is because as per Ayurveda and even ancient Chinese tradition, these marma points are very powerful points that help again achieve what you want to with a certain modality. So, if you want to help the body adapt to stress, boost mental focus and clarity, and also assist your adrenals and brain fog, this really helps with doing all of that. I mean, Jatamansi, as you mentioned, it's one of the most effective essential oils for supporting a calming mind. It supports deep sleep, which is amazing, which also happens. It also contains bacopa. I love actually bacopa. Bacopa is one of those herbs that's basically a brain nutrient. It really enhances the function, the memory. It's also a powerful antioxidant and anti inflammatory herb as well. And one of the other great things is it lowers blood pressure. I mean, these it's amazing that the herbs, Ayurvedic herbs particularly, because that's what I've studied, I don't think they're just one modality. They're so wonderful in helping the body again, all going back to balance. Ashwagandha is not only good for, is a great adaptogen to help the body adapt to stress, but it's also great for immune enhancing. It's also a great anti-inflammatory if you suffer from joint pain and other things like that. That's why it's the intelligence of these herbs is amazing to me. And to answer your question, calamus was actually in Ayurveda an ideal herb for meditation and introspection. So imagine being able to have that available to you right before going to a meditation and applying it to a certain intent-based kind of area in on your body where you can experience deeper meditations and introspection,
Mm.
enhance the brain function, improves memory, and then one of my favorite things that we also did in the essential oil blend, Elena, was we put in rose. Now, as you know how powerful the sense of smell is, but to us, rose holds a higher vibration than any other oil on the planet, is what we believe. It's a powerful heart healer as well. There's a reason certain people, hey, I love you, give roses. It's not just an expression, it's something psychological as well. Um, we also believe it induces feelings of love and compassion, and it restores your authenticity, wholeness, and purity. Rose is in there to really top off this whole formula, and that's why we love it. It's one of my favorite essential oils as well. If you're having trouble falling asleep or not being able to, rub it on to the marma points that we've indicated, and those marma points are the temples to really help reduce the stress in the temples, and also by your close to your nose for the olfactories to kind of get to work.
Mm.
And it's just it's amazing, and I'm so happy you experienced it as well.
Yeah, it's a real clear shift. You also have kits for joints, body, immunity, and digestion. I just want to share that with my listener. If you're working with any of those in your body, joints, overall, immunity, or digestion, I can't recommend the quality enough, and I don't often do this. I am not making any money from this. I'm not an affiliate for Youveda. Like, I just really believe in the product.
Oh,
Last
thank you
couple
so much.
questions. Of course, last couple questions. When you founded this company in 2018, I speak often to a lot of founders and creators and folks who, make big, big impacts in the world. Can you talk to us a little bit about the founding of the company? Any trials and tribulations that you experienced, anything that you feel would be interesting for my listener. And I'm also quite curious as well to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So at that time, when we founded the company, one of the things that I noticed was a disconnect of information that was available to the everyday consumer. I had worked at a supplement company earlier that was selling mostly to the doctors. And I would see in the shipping room, we'd ship out all this product, amazing product as well. And it would go to the doctors, and I would ask them, I wasn't a part of the marketing company, and I would be like, hey, are we ever getting any feedback? Like, we know the product works because we ship it, but are we actually talking to the end consumer? And to me, that always stuck in my head that there was a gap. And not only that, I also wanted to know where the product was coming from. Where was the sourcing? How is it sourced? Is it as per Ayurvedic principles? Are we doing it as per? Is each herb grown in the same in their proper geography, the biotope? Is it being honored? Are we doing sustainable farming? And Elena, you'd be surprised. I couldn't answer questions, and I went around and asked a lot of companies that, and either somebody's doing only the sourcing, but they're not doing the manufacturing of the products as well, or they're only doing the manufacturing and buying the herbs. And I said, look, this concept, although it's working and yeah, people can prove it, it takes a while. There's red tape, and that's what I wanted to not have. So I went and formed relationships with the people that I knew I had worked with in the past through my experience, but I also knew people that weren't afraid to share, for example, third party testing, had all the accreditations from FDA, GMP, NSF that I know and trust. I actually then visited the facilities because I wanted to make sure that these guys carried out what they said. And lastly, I want to be able to. I have a 2.5-year-old son, about to have a daughter anytime now, actually. I wanted to be able to pick them up, look them in the eye, and go to sleep knowing that we're producing the highest quality, most safest products on the planet. And that's why we went above and beyond. We also did safety studies on our products as well. We don't have to, but we did. And some of the trials and tribulations, I guess, at the start were, how do we show all this? And how do we keep on educating the people? We launched with an app, and we realized that not too many people like to have an app that was just that Ayurveda based. So what we did then was we launched a section on our website that was devoted to just knowledge. It was a knowledge center website. It talked about how we grow the products, what we do, but then most importantly, it was solving that initial problem. How do we keep on educating the person that is looking for that solution, or and continue to educate them, continue to stay in front of them, continue to have this open-ended kind of dialogue, and just let them know that, hey, we're here for them. And I believe that's what we've done with the company. Is we really like to be authentic. If anybody asks us, hey, can we see your C of A, certificate of analysis, heck, I'm more than happy to open it up for you. And that's a great question. You should know what our testing results were like, and I should be able to tell you that this product was made here. This is where we picked it. We work with the Department of Forestry in India. The Department of Forestry employs local natives that help us sustain and pick the herbs, and we teach them how to do it sustainably. So all of that really, really matters to me, because at the end of the day, we are getting all these amazing things from Mother Nature. How could we ever think about going the other way? And for lack of better words, I mean, raping Mother Nature. You can only yield so much of a certain herb in a certain harvesting season. Amla happens between October and I think certainly up till maybe January. That is the best time to do it. If there's herbs that are being produced insane amounts of amla, it's a fruit actually, if it's being produced later on, there's something interesting to be said about there. Is that really Mother Nature? Is that what we're doing? So it was really important for me to be in frequency with like-minded individuals at every stage of the production, but then also making sure that we educate everybody through the right proper means. I know that was a long-winded answer, but I hope it was there because that really matters to me about the quality.
Well, I think you do one thing well. And I think for any business person listening to this and curious to hear of a success story in business, a creation story, you provide excellent education. I feel like I do the same thing as well. And that's a reason for success is if you provide people with information that helps them, they will continue to work with you and allow themselves to be served by you. So,
Absolutely. And you do a fantastic job, Elena. I mean, I was looking at your everything you offer, your podcast. I mean, think it's maybe you don't like to, have people talk about this or not, but like you're very humble, but you've been on so many things that are incredible, dear. I mean, it's just it's that's why I said at the start, I'm completely honored to be here because of the distribution and reach and impact that you have, and yet you're so humble in your approach and everything. So you've made an incredible impact on me and what I want to keep on doing as well.
thank you for that. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. I'll receive that. I want to thank you for being here. Your website is Youveda, Youveda.com. And if we take anything away, we take that a tragedy and a very serious bout of hardship can, in fact, turn into something that serves many, many humans. And that is a valuable, invaluable, in fact, lesson to learn. So thank you for bringing that forward today, Gunny.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me. And I also want to let the listeners know that you guys can use the code PURPOSE. So PURPOSE. And it gives you guys 35% off your first order. So feel free to go ahead and
Wow.
use that to get you guys on the products, trying them. Elena loves the mood. I love the mood, but I also like to combine it with the digestion. The whole mind gut combination is wonderful for me. It keeps you regular, it keeps you amazing. But thank you so much, Elena. And yeah, it's Youveda.com. And I also have a podcast in case you guys want to, reach out to us. And we focus a lot more on Ayurveda and other things like that. But thank you, Elena. It's been an absolute honor to be here. The
Hmm.
work that you're doing is fantastic. I think the work is needed more so than ever.
Thank you. And what is your podcast so that we can have that too?
The podcast is the Balanced Being Podcast with Gunny Sodhi.
The Balanced Being Podcast with Gunny Sodhi. And Gunny is spelled Gunny Sodhi. Gunny Sodhi.
Correct.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so much.
much.
Thank you, Elena. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to everybody.
Thank you.